Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'm going to be covering Mumm-Ra. He made his first appearance in the ThunderCats animated series that was released in 1985. Although it wasn't originally known, we now know that his real name was Wahankh, and he was an ancient human sorcerer from the planet Third Earth, who happened to gain immense powers from the ancient spirits of evil, which were four entities that had nearly unlimited power, despite their direct influence on the world being limited to only within their black pyramid. So Wahankh in the form of Mumm-Ra kind of served like their combined avatar out in the world. And although in his withered, ancient mummy-like form, he's extremely small, I approximate around 5 feet tall and very thin, in his empowered form as Mumm-Ra, he stands at least 9 feet tall, and I approximate his weight to be around 700 to 800 pounds, having glowing red eyes, sharp fangs and claws, with gray skin. Now, Mumm-Ra has a vast array of powers, which honestly seem insurmountable for a foe. To actually become this powerful form, he recites his iconic incantation, which is, "Ancient spirits of evil, transform this decayed form to Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living." Blah, blah, blah. Okay, crazy. Almost choked myself. But anyway, you get it. And you've probably heard it before. It was one of the most epic phrases of 80s cartoons. Now, due to this, he's bestowed with a big chunk of the ancient spirit's power, giving him vast superhuman strength and durability, as well as having cosmic level powers and magical abilities, using his knowledge of all mystical arts to amplify his considerable powers. It's actually hard to list everything that he can do, but to list a few, he can shoot energy bolts from his hands, fly and teleport, manipulate energy fields, which includes mystical and physical, being able to manipulate planetary weather. He can mind control evil creatures to do his bidding, and has even mind controlled the ThunderCats themselves. He also has other psionic abilities, such as telekinesis and creating force fields. And to go on, he can even animate lifeless objects or reanimate the dead. And the last power that I'll mention is that Mumm-Ra has nearly unlimited shape-shifting abilities, having over a dozen forms that we've seen him take so far. And if all of this wasn't enough, on a few occasions we've seen him actually manifest a form that's even more powerful than his Mumm-Ra form, saying a slightly different incantation of "Grant me the super strength of all your wise and wicked wizardry," and transform Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living into Mumm-Ra the All-Powerful. This actually causing him to absorb all of the power of the ancient spirits of evil, becoming far bigger and stronger. Oh, did I mention that dude is literally immortal and cannot be killed? However, this leads me to some of his glaring weaknesses. For the longest time, Mumm-Ra could not look at his own reflection, because if he did, he would change back into his frail mummy form and would have to flee. This weakness was eventually removed by the ancient spirits of evil though. But Mumm-Ra still has the weakness of having extremely limited stamina, having to return back to his sarcophagus in the Black Pyramid anytime he expends too much energy or has been out in his empowered form for too long. Additionally, his powers are directly tied to his sarcophagus itself and the statues of the ancient spirits of evil. Therefore, if any of these objects are damaged or destroyed, his powers greatly weaken immediately. At any rate, dude is still massively powerful, so much so that he rarely needs to use any weapons at all. But if he does, he often chooses the powerful Sword of Plun-Darr, which is at least as powerful as Lion-O's iconic blade, the Sword of Omens. Now, if you didn't know, Mumm-Ra is the main antagonist and big bad of the original ThunderCats series. He used his mastery of the mystical arts and superpowers to dominate his homeworld Third Earth, trying to keep it in a perpetual state of apocalypse, which is the way the ancient spirits of evil wanted it. However, when the ThunderCats arrived to Third Earth after fleeing their destroyed homeworld of Thunderian, their powerful and heroic presence would be seen as a threat to Mumm-Ra's plans. Mumm-Ra uses every resource at his disposal to try to get rid of these pests, regularly employing the ThunderCats' enemies, the Mutants of Plun-Darr, as pawns in his schemes. And when I say pawns, I mean it, because Mumm-Ra is actually pretty mean to the mutants, seeing them as fairly weak and completely incompetent. Matter of fact, Mumm-Ra is pretty much ice cold to everyone, other than maybe his pet dog, Ma-Mutt, who seems to be the only being that Mumm-Ra has a soft spot for. Throughout nearly every episode of the original ThunderCats series, MummRa would devise elaborate plans to defeat his ThunderCat foes, quite often getting the upper hand on his feline enemies. But despite MummRa often seeming to be an insurmountable foe, Lion-O and his ThunderCats would ultimately defeat MummRa and his pawns every time. However, like I said before, MummRa is a true immortal, so whenever he seemed to be defeated or quote-unquote killed, he would simply and mystically always return to his sarcophagus and take all the time he needs to rejuvenate and plan his next attack on the ThunderCats. Now, for his powers and abilities and his influence on the ThunderCats universe, for my 1 to 10 rating, I'll give Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living a rating of 10, which is a legendary rating. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, and join the new Sage.